Hello. Hello. Um, this is a few days after the England game. We're doing the podcast on Monday, but I just felt the need to say something and to publish it um, about England and about their performance against Argentina in the World Cup semi-final 2026, which was last Wednesday. Um, I'll start off by being as broad as I can. I think the England national team's problem is I think that they're scared. Um, I think that they approach every game as something that has to be got past, got over with, so that they can move on to the next game and then move on, hopefully, to the final. I think that as they've got better, I don't think that they've necessarily got that more confident in themselves. I think they worry. Maybe scared's a little bit harsh, but they certainly worry. Maybe more, I think, than national team players should. Um, but I think that collectively they understand what it would mean to win the World Cup or the European champions for that matter, and they they seem anxious to get on with it to the point where I think sometimes they kind of stop and forget that actually, you know, you do have to take each game as it comes, and you do have to work at these things. Argentina, on the other hand, seem to relish these challenges. I thought about the Mexico game and the way that they approached the England. This is approached the Mexico game. They seem to relish the idea of going to the Azteca under those conditions, under the weather conditions, with the stadium atmosphere, with the home crowd all against them. They seem to relish it, and they went out there and played like they wanted to be in this game. I wasn't really getting that from these players for the semi final. I think that they were frightened. I think they were worried at best, and I think that affected their confidence. Um, with all of that said, I don't think they were helped at all by their coach. His game plan for the first, what was it, 60 odd minutes until Gordon scored that goal was pretty much spot on. Um, you can't contain Argentina, and you can't necessarily control them all the time, but they had Argentina playing in the parts of the field where they could do the least damage, I think is probably fair to say, until we scored the goal. And then naturally, as many teams do, up and down the football pyramids across the world, when they score a goal, they tend to sit back. It happens. It's probably something the coaches despair at, but it does happen. It's a natural response. It's human. It's fine. Um, but England, in particular, I think in moments like this, can do that to excess. And really, we got to the hydration break, and we were probably quite lucky not to have conceded another goal. And at this point, that was the time, I think, for Thomas Tuchel to come in and say, look, lads, we're going to lose this game at this rate. I'm going to bring on a couple of forwards or one forward. I'm going to give them something to think about. You've got to press and you've got to move higher and you've got to do that. And that's just not what happened at all. He took off Gordon, brought on Konza, and then the rest is trauma, frankly. Trauma that will last for decades. People will be talking about this defeat and the manner of this defeat long after most of you are gone, and me. Um, so there's that. So I think that we have to put that down to two things. Yes, generally speaking, I think England need to be encouraged to relish the opportunities that come to play in football matches, win, lose, or draw. Um, Take that spirit of the Azteca and take that forward. That is the takeaway for England. That's the moment where we had our World Cup. Our greatest moment in many, many years was the Azteca. We take that and we try as much as possible to put Atlanta behind us and never speak of it again, although that's obviously impossible. Tuchel, I mean, if you listen to the podcast and if you've been across my German football work, you'll know that I've got a lot of time for Tuchel. I think he's a terrific coach. And I was stunned by his decision to lean into what was clearly a weakness and a flaw in the way that they were playing, and saying, "Oh, they appear to be playing defensively, so I will help them by giving them more defenders." I mean, I don't think that's what coaches do. The coaches are supposed to say, "No, this is how you're supposed to play," not like, "Oh, you appear to be playing this way. Let me help. Let me help make it worse. You're playing badly. Let me help you play even more badly." I think that the calls for him to be sacked are a shade premature, because it was one game, albeit a very costly game. But I can completely understand that you look at that, and I said it at the time when I was watching it, I was thinking, we don't appear to have moved on from Southgate at all. And I liked Southgate, but recognised that he wasn't perhaps the elite level coach that England needed, that these players required to push us a little bit further, to push us to a final, and to a final that we might even possibly win, although, I don't know, Spain look amazing, don't they? So that was disappointing. Disappointing if you're an advocate of Thomas Tuchel, or disappointing if you are Thomas Tuchel, although he seems to be sticking to his guns that that's not how he wanted it to be. But yeah, I think the FA are probably right in thinking that actually the last thing England needs right now is another leadership contest, shall we say. The last thing the country needs is another leadership contest. So it's probably best that he stick around. But in terms of what happens next, obviously there are the Euros that are coming down the track in 2028. We have to qualify for that tournament, even though we're co-hosts, because there's 4 co-hosts of that tournament. So yeah, we have to qualify for that. So there'll be that. I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about, however, is the Nations League. This is a tournament that I'm not certain that the English public and the English FA and the English in general take as seriously as other nations. I've seen Nations League finals. I have seen Nations League finals live on television, and I have seen the players really enjoying winning those games, and the losers really not enjoying losing them. I think that that's a trophy that's worth winning. I think in many ways it's a distilled version of the old European Championships. I think you get through your group stage, and then you go to a neutral venue and you play a Final Four tournament. I want to see England back in something like that. They qualified for the first one. I'd like to see them get to another one. And now I'm going to argue that actually I think that they really should. They really should. I think it's necessary for themselves and for their own confidence and esteem. I think it's necessary to vindicate the coach. I think it's necessary for the English public to have something to cheer and to enjoy. And just generally speaking, make us feel confident that we can go to the Euros as co-hosts with a view to winning that title. So at the very least then, qualification for the Final Four. Anything else, and then I think it might be time to start thinking about the coach. And I think if it goes terribly wrong and we end up getting relegated to League B, then I think you not only fire the coach, but you do it out of a cannon. Anyway, thanks very much for your time. Looking at the clock, that's nearly 9 minutes. I think that's more than enough of me. 9 minutes? I'm not wearing my glasses. Yes, it's 9 minutes. So I shall sign off from here. See you on the podcast, and I may well come back and do another one of these videos. Who knows? Cheerio, bye.